hand on your heart, look up at the sky, smile, and say, hey, I'm alive. Thanks for being alive with me today. Hello, reporting from, just kidding, Be Alive with Kate Manser. I am here today to just say what's up and give you a little bit of a life update. I am coming at you live from my new office that I got at the beginning of January. Here is pajamas sleeping in the corner on this new chair that I just got for free on the side of the road on Monday. I'm thrilled. I've got all my whiteboards in this place. I've got my art studio. I've got a meditation studio. I have my podcast recording room. And Kate is a happy, happy woman. For someone who lives in, I think I've measured it, my RV, the living space is about 120 square feet. You could probably fit 4 of my RV living space in this office. So I think most people have a small office and a big living space. I have the opposite. I have a very tiny living space and what I would consider a large office. And it's just for me. I host people for tea here, and I'd like to start hosting some meditations and retreats here as well. But for now, it's just been pajamas and I. So what is it that Kate does? That is the question as a multi-passionate individual. But really, I call myself an inspirer. And it's because before people would ask, oh, what do you do? And it's like, okay, well, how much time do you have? I write, I speak, I have a podcast, I do coaching, I lead meditations and retreats. So I just decided that everything that I do, regardless of whether the actual manifestation of it is on video or in person or in coaching or in a book, it's just my whole purpose in life is to be an inspirer. And so that's what I call myself. I am Kate Manser. I am an inspirer. And if this resonates with you, this title, feel free to use it too. I'm not the only inspirer in the world. In fact, I believe that we are actually all inspirers. And the only thing that differentiates an inspirer from a non-inspirer or a not yet manifested inspirer is how much you realize the power that you have to inspire people in your everyday life. That is important. That was one of the most profound realizations that I've had in my life, is realizing that everything I do, the way I show up on any given day, even when it doesn't feel like anybody's looking, that creates ripple effects that will go on and on and on. That's what I really pride myself on in my journey as an inspirer. Is I'm not out here just teaching and talking about things. I really try my absolute very best to walk the talk in everything that I do. And so that's why I tell you when I'm doing it scared. I tell you when things are hard. I've talked about depression on here. I've talked about fears and weirdness and all kinds of edgy topics, psychedelic experiences, mindset stuff, self-directed neuroplasticity. And most of all of that is under the heading of what it means to be alive, because this is the Be Alive show after all. And, being alive is, to me, there's that amazing Incubus song, Love is a Verb. It's such a beautiful Incubus song. And being alive is a verb. Being alive is this action. It's this experience. It's this intentional perceiving of our existence. And I believe that I'm here on earth to help people not only come to terms with our mortality, because that's a huge part of truly being alive, but to be alive in our everyday life and to really tune into the beauty that's within and around us all the time. The beauty, the wonder, the magic, the excitement, the pain, the discomfort, all of that. Oh God, that's so good. I call it the full spectrum of being alive. March 2025 will be 3 years in the RV. And I was at the end of last year, I was very uncomfortable. I was like, I want to get out of here. I don't want to live in this RV anymore. I need more space. I was just feeling very captive in there. And part of the problem is, one thing I love about my RV is that it has tons of windows. So I get all this natural light, which is amazing. However, the downside of that is that I don't have a ton of wall space to put up papers and reminders. So if you're watching on video, you can see what I'm about to show you. If you're listening, you can just know that I'm showing a bunch of whiteboards that are my lifeblood, because I'm a person that I have very low object permanence, which object permanence is when a baby reaches a certain age. I forget how many months. I think it's 4 months. They develop object permanence, which is the understanding that when mom or dad leaves the room or the rattle falls on the ground, that it hasn't ceased to exist. So object permanence is the idea that even if I don't see it, I understand that it still exists. When we're babies, if we don't see it, our brains aren't developed enough to understand that those things still exist. And for whatever reason, my special brand of ADHD is that if I don't see my to-do list, if I don't see the projects that I'm working on, my mind just goes blank. And I'm like, I have no idea. Do I have a job? What do I do? So being in the RV with not very much wall space, and like for whatever reason, notebooks just don't do it for me, because you turn the page and it's gone. So I thrive when I have just a huge amount of wall space to be able to write. And it's not just seeing, that's a huge part of it, but also like when I get ideas, sometimes I just need a lot of space to write them. Like I can't just write them in a notebook for whatever reason. That just, it doesn't feel as good, and I don't have the ideas in that flow state like I do when I'm writing on a big piece of, you can get these sketchbooks that are like 2 feet by 1.5 feet, like 24 by 18 inches. You can get these whiteboards. Whiteboards are weirdly expensive. I found, actually my dad found, you can go to Home Depot in the wood department. They sell whiteboards. On one side, it's a whiteboard. On one side, it's a chalkboard. And they're like $8. And they're like 4 feet by 2 feet. They're these enormous whiteboards. Because normally if you go on to Walmart or wherever, or even if you go on Facebook Marketplace to try to buy a whiteboard, they're crazy expensive. So I love these ones from Home Depot. They're like $8. Like I said, they're in the wood department, the lumber department. And right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and I don't even feel like that's enough. So we're talking about 5 of these whiteboards that are 4 feet tall by 2 feet wide, and that's not enough space for me. I'm going to be going back to Austin in a few weeks, and I am going to get at least 2, maybe 4 more, because we've got a lot of ideas going on. So that actually brings to another point, which is, where are you, Kate? I have been living in Marfa, Texas since the beginning of this year. And Marfa, Texas is if you don't know, it's a small artist town. I've talked about it before on the show. And it is a place that I came to for the first time in 2019. And as soon as I got here, I just was in love with this place. I was in love with it for so many reasons. It's weird. It's one of the things that I love about it is it's just this small town and people just do what they want. Almost all the businesses are small businesses owned by actual individuals, not corporations. And it is not uncommon at all that on Google Maps, it will say the place is open. On Instagram, it will say the place is open. And then you get there and this place is closed. And I just love that. I love that humbling feeling that's just like, I got dressed, I walked multiple blocks away to go get this taco, and the taco place is closed, even though it says they're supposed to be open. You might be infuriated by that. I love it because I just find it absolutely humbling. It's like, Kate, nobody cares about you. Like the world does not revolve around you. Just because something says it's supposed to be one way doesn't mean that it's going to be that way. And I just love that idea and that feeling of I am not important. Nobody cares whether I get a taco. Nobody cares whether I'm disappointed that this place said it was supposed to be open and it's closed, and also figure it out. And it's like a cool test that I can feel a little bit of disappointment and not let it turn into anger because it's not worth it. And then just see how quickly I can be resilient and find a new place to get food. I just love that feeling of being surprised. And apparently I also have a thing for being disappointed. But definitely I like the feeling of being put outside of my comfort zone. And so many times over, I have engineered my life, especially in the past 10 years since I had my awakening in 2015. I really engineered my life that every year, at least, I do one thing to really put myself out of my comfort zone. So last year, it was launching this podcast. That was very confronting for me because I don't want to say disorganized, but I'm very multi-passionate and I have had trouble with accountability in the past, mostly for myself. Gretchen Rubin, I believe is her name. She wrote a book all about productivity and she has this thing called the Productivity Types Quiz. And I remember I took this quiz in 2020 and it was so illuminating because I took this quiz. What's your productivity style? And I got the Rebel, which was so cool because in the description of what the Rebel is, it says the rebels not only rebel against what other people want you to do, but you also rebel against what you want you to do. And that was just such an illuminating moment for me to be like, oh, I rebel against everything. I have a lot of resistance that I need to work through in order to get things done. Part of that I will call ADD. When I do take a small amount of medication for ADD, that's what I take it for, is to get through that resistance to start a project. I call it's like greasing the wheels or putting the skis on to get down the mountain versus trudging down in boots. So the lowest dose of Adderall that you can get is 5 milligrams. And I break that in half. And a few days a week, I'll take that 2.5 milligrams of Adderall. It's not even so much that I have trouble focusing. Like I said, for me, it's that I have trouble starting. I have this resistance, this rebellion, this procrastination. And when I take that 2.5 milligrams, half of the smallest dose of Adderall, it just helps me get started. It's wild. It's like I'll just be sitting there in this freeze state and then I'll take it and stuck. And then 20 minutes later, when it hits, it's like I just come alive and I just start typing. It's such a weird thing. And I also want to make sure that I am using my own tools. I don't want to just rely on the medication. I want to make sure that I use my own tools. So I got this standing desk partially for that reason. I think when I'm like up and moving around, I'm not so like in and tight and resistant. Also, I was just sitting for so many hours that I felt like my butt was getting wider and wider. I'm still in the RV, but I'm actually happy in the RV now because I have this amazing office space. So I don't feel claustrophobic in there at all anymore. I actually love my little space. I remodeled it when I first got it and just made it so bright and colorful and cozy. It is a space that's really special to me. I've been living in that RV for 3 years. But at the end of this year, I just really was feeling that I needed to slow down and not move around so much because I'm constantly traveling in the RV. I did a lot of traveling also by air last year for speaking engagements. And I just was like, okay, Kate, the thing is when you live in an RV, there's a huge amount of your time that you need to dedicate to logistics. I would say anywhere from 10 to 30% of your waking usable productivity time needs to be dedicated to figuring out where you're going, how you're going to get there, what's the weather like, is there wind, where are you going to sleep, where are you going to get propane, where are you going to dump your tank, is it safe here, checking the tires. And there's just so much that I didn't realize when I started RV life, how much time actually just goes to the logistics of figuring out the destinations and the sleeping situations and all of that. I love RV life. I've had the best freaking time and also the worst time. That's what I always say about RV life is it is truly like the highest of highs. Like my RV sitting on the edge of the Pacific Ocean and like dolphins jumping out of my window and the salt air and then also the lowest of the lows where I am watching my RV get put onto the tow truck and wondering where I'm going to sleep that night because my transmission seal blew and I'm in the middle of Arizona. And that actually did happen and it ended up being fine. I slept in the gas station, because it was Labor Day weekend. And so the mechanic was closed. I slept in the parking lot of the gas station. I wasn't able to drive anywhere, but I had the tow truck driver drop me off at the gas station. I stayed in this freaking gas station parking lot for 2 days. I believe it was in Kingman, Arizona. And until then, I had another tow truck come and tow me to the mechanic. That mechanic was like, his name's Tom. Sometimes I call him when I have RV questions or car questions. He was the nicest guy. And then I got on my way and I drove where I was going. But anyways, it takes a lot of energy to be on the road. And I have big plans for this business. I'll tell you about what I do now, and I'll tell you about what the next few years are that I have planned. Whew, we're going to the moon, y'all, and I'm taking you with me. So I just was feeling like I didn't want to dedicate that 10 to 30% of my time to logistics right now. I would rather reinvest that in rest and recovery and into my projects that I'm so passionate about. So here I am. I will probably be in Marfa for most of this year. I did have a medium tell me that I will be traveling for work from June to August of 2025. So I'm speaking that into existence. But other than that, and maybe a couple of other small trips, I'm mostly planning to be here in Marfa in this amazing office, living in my RV, which I have a spot at an RV park that I get to look over this amazing field with large scale art installations in the distance. And I'm working on my business. So currently, my business is I am an author. I've published 3 books so far. There will be plenty more to come in my life. I also am a speaker, so I do keynote speeches. My specialty is closing keynotes. So if you have a group that they are going to be in a conference for multiple days and they're going to be just like overloaded with information, and you need someone to come in at the end and send these people out into the world feeling totally like clear perspective and like they can take on the world and that they have a clear idea of what their purpose is in life and at work, call me. I have a 60 to 75-minute keynote speech. I would love to give it. So writing, speaking, this podcast, I do 1 episode per week, and I typically do 1 solo episode alternating with 1 interview episodes. I have so many interviews already recorded on deck for you guys, like amazing content. I also am a coach, so I have multiple clients. I have 1 client. He has been with me for almost 3 years. This year will be 3 years. I'm just so honored. I have another client that now we've been working together for 6 months and another client for a year and a half. So I love working one-on-one with people. I am a trusted advisor that will take you to your highest level. Like the clients that I have currently feel that I give them clarity on what their purpose is. I help them make the decisions that align best with them. I help you introduce more aliveness, more play, more perspective, more meaning and purpose into your life. I have clients who, since we've been working together, they have made massive life changes. They have gotten off of antidepressants. They have actually improved their physical health. Like we have blood work to show that since we've been working together, they went from having very scary blood work to now being the healthiest that they've ever been in their lives. This is all, I am a transpersonal coach, which means that I coach you from that high level of not just you as a physical body, not just you as a person, not just you in society, but I'm here to help you discover who you are at the soul level and guide you to have that love, that perspective, and that aliveness and meaning in everything that you do. And I'm really good at it. I am an amazing coach. I am not afraid to say that. Like, it's funny because I resisted coaching for years. I was like, I'm not a coach. And the reason that I resisted was because I just saw so many coaches online that I felt were disingenuous. Let me show you how to make $1 million and I'll charge you a lot of money to do that. And I just felt, oh, I don't want to be a coach. When I had people starting to contact me for coaching, I've actually never done marketing for coaching. It's people contact me, and if we're right for each other, then we work together. But when I had people starting to contact me and I just felt, I feel like I can really help these people, I finally broke and started coaching. And here we are now, several years later, and I love coaching. I don't have any group programs right now, but that's something that I will be starting this year, more than likely. So right now I just do one-to-one coaching. I'm also in the second year of my 3-year master's program where I am completing a master's of transpersonal psychology, which is the study of going beyond. So I study non-ordinary states of consciousness. I study consciousness, period. I study going beyond our ego, self-expansion, and personal growth. Why am I doing a master's? Well, number one, I love learning. I love challenging myself. I'm doing it for credibility, right? So that I can have a cut above all the other coaches out there. So I am getting my master's of psychology. I'm not going to be a clinical psychologist. I'm not trying to become a therapist. I'm going to continue on the path that I am as an author, speaker, and a coach. Will I get a PhD? Yes, I really think I will. Originally, I was thinking of going directly into my PhD program, but now I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of wait and see and what's going on in my life in 2026, 2027, and see what is in store for me then. That also came from my tarot reader. She was giving me a reading and some card came up and she said, without even knowing what was going on with me, she was like, if you're thinking about continuing your education even further, you may not want to do it right away, was what she said. And it was funny because I was so like, I have to get my PhD. I have to get my PhD immediately. And as soon as that tarot reader said, just maybe consider not doing it right away, it just snapped something in me. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't need to go directly into the PhD. Whether you believe in the woo-woo of tarot readings and whether you believe that spirit guides are actually coming through, I do. But even if you don't, they are so good for just reframing our perspective and opening up our mind to see our problems in our lives in new ways. My favorite deck, this deck has absolutely changed my life. It's the Archetypes deck by Kim Kranz. I don't have it with me. It's in my RV. This deck has just, I cry every time I do a reading with my Archetypes deck because usually I will pull 3 cards and do a 3-card reading for myself. I'll usually ask a question or just to get an update on my life. It's wild. It is wild. But even if you don't believe that it is messages from your spirit guides, pull cards to open your mind to see your problems and your projects in a new way. Okay. That's exactly why we take microdoses of a psychedelic substance. It's, oh, I want to open my mind to see something in a new way. Great. Take a microdose. But also you can meditate. You can draw a card. You can talk to a friend and ask them to help you see a problem in a new way. Talk to a therapist, talk to a coach. Rant over, but never, because I'm so passionate about opening our minds to new perspectives as a function in pursuit of personal growth. Opening our minds and looking at things in different ways is so critical. And I think that's why I blow up my life every few years, whether it be quitting my corporate job, going on a big round the world trip, living in the RV, quitting alcohol, all these things that I've done and more. I do them because they make me deeply uncomfortable and deeply scared, and they give me the opportunity to experience my life and my problems and my dreams and visions in a new way. So now you know what I am. I am an inspirer. We just talked about where we are, but what's coming for Kate Manser? For whatever reason in 2025, it's a blank canvas. And my intuition is telling me that something big is coming and that my schedule has been cleared for a reason. So in 2025, we're just continuing to expand so that I can bring more of my gifts to you. That is my ultimate goal for 2025. More events, more experiences, more writing, more videos, so that we can connect and I can help you along your journey to living and being fully alive. So just get ready, because I'm super excited to be launching a bunch of new stuff in 2025. But where are we going in the 5-year plan? I have 3 pillars in my vision for my life, my career, we'll say. Number 1, the first pillar is Kate Manser Media, the Alive Kate. It's continuing to just connect with you guys, events, podcasts, TV show, books, me and Oprah having lunch on her podcast, all of that. Okay. So that's the first pillar, is just to continue to talk with you and to be a guide for you as I'm doing life and figuring out my stuff as well. And I'm doing it scared and I'm uncomfortable and messing it up. And I'll be sharing that with you along the way as well. The second pillar is Highline House. So when I published my book, I got rejected by over 30 publishers and agents. I got accepted by one, however, and it was a worthwhile publisher. I'm not going to say who it was, but they have published Eckhart Tolle and other amazing personal growth and spiritual guides. However, they wanted me to change my title of my book. I thought about it and my gut told me, don't change the title of your book. They were like, yes, we'll publish your book. You just have to change the title. I had built the brand, You Might Die Tomorrow, at that point for like 3 or 4 years. People had bought stickers and t-shirts, and I had done the art installation at Burning Man. And I just felt like I can't change this title. Like, this is my brand. So I respectfully declined that one publisher who gave me a chance. And I created my own publishing company. My publishing company is called Highline House. And it's based on a book that I read by a very small indie author. In the book, he talked about how the High Line is the place where you align with your soul and you walk through life. That's the High Line. So that's why I call my publishing company Highline House. And my vision for Highline House is that Highline House is the next Hay House. If you're familiar with Louise Hay's company, Hay House, it's an amazing publishing company that publishes a lot of really inspiring, beautiful works. And she also has retreats to support artists and writers. That is what my vision for Highline House is. I'm so passionate about getting people's art, whether that be writing, art, film, getting it off of your laptop, getting it out of the closet and putting it out into the world, especially works of writing and art that are designed to inspire people to live their highest self and or think differently. That is the vision for Highline House. It is a publishing and media company that publishes amazing works of art and supports artists and writers to get your work out into the world. That's the second pillar. The third pillar of my career vision is, I don't have a name for it yet. I haven't found the exact right name, but it is just at this point called the Art Ranch. It is a place where you come to experience art, nature, and your soul. We're going to have 2 or 3 retreats per year. There's going to be some artists in residence and maybe one like big event, a mini spiritual festival type thing. It's going to have large scale art installations, like Burning Man-esque large scale art installations. It's going to be multiple acres. There's going to be an amazing, beautiful meditation temple in the center, and there's going to be a large art studio, like warehousey thing on the property, big pole barn. You will get to go on meditation walks. You will get to sit at the base of a large, stunning art installation that makes you experience awe. You will get to meditate in the meditation temple, and you will get to throw paint around and paint to your heart's content in the art studio. You'll also get to experience community. It's about self-expression. It's about this like unbridling our spirits, unbridling ourselves. Because when we go through normal life, we have inhibitions. And I think it's one of our life's greatest journeys to, throughout our whole life, peel back the layers of our inhibitions so that we can really feel like we're our truest self. And I think that needs to be a daily practice where we're aware of our inhibitions and peeling them back as much as we can. I believe that living our most alive life is a process of creation. Yes, create your ideal career, create your ideal family, create your ideal life path. But it is very much also a process of destruction, destroying our self doubt, destroying our inhibitions, destroying the lies that we tell ourselves and others. And I want to create a place that we can come to just feel like we can express ourselves through art, through meditation, through singing, through walking and being in nature in a nice, big, beautiful, wide open space, so that we can cast off some of those layers, so that when we go back into our normal, quote unquote, everyday life, that we have had an experience of what it's like to be less inhibited and to really have that unbridled self-expression. And then that creates ripples, which then impacts the people that we meet, and then those people that they meet, and on and on and on. So those are the 3 pillars of the future of Kate Manser: is Kate Manser Media, Highline House, my publishing company, and the Art Ranch, name still pending. Why am I sharing this with you? I just feel like when people share their big dreams, it can inspire other people to think big too. I have tons of other dreams. I want to have, a house on the ocean. I want to be able to donate $1,000 to every charity that I come across that I feel like needs the money. When I go to like a community play and they're like, oh, here, the ticket is $17 and here's that little box to donate, I want to make $1,000 donation to every charity that comes across my desk. That is a huge goal of mine. I have always had a desire to foster in my life. I don't know if that's going to happen. It sort of keeps getting pushed back, but I've always had a desire to foster children. I want to have my beach house. I want to fall in love again. I want to have like that mirror of the relationship to help me grow even more, and also have that safe space in a really beautiful, meaningful, romantic relationship. I really want to visit Kenya. I've wanted to visit Kenya since I was a little girl. I want to visit Turkey. Oh my gosh, I just have so many dreams. I want to be on a red carpet. I have this fantasy where I'm on the red carpet and I've had like the glam squad at least once, if not more, because one of my other dreams is that I'm going to have my own TV show. So I will be on the red carpet for my own show's premiere, as well as hopefully I'll get invited to other premieres. And that's just like, what a cool experience. It's just something I've always wanted to do since I was little. So like, why not? We're coming to the end of the episode. I hope that you are inspired by big dreams. I want to know what your big dreams are. What's your big, crazy, audacious, hairy, exciting, kind of scary dream? Do you also want to open a retreat center? Do you want to become a parent? That's big, scary, audacious dream. Do you want to change careers? Do you want to have your own show? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to open a nonprofit? Do you want to have like the most perfectly manicured lawn with like bees and flowers and gardens? Like, what is it that you just have this little secret thing? What is that thing that when you think about it, you get that sparkle that's like, oh my God, no, that's like way too big. That's why I'm telling you my dreams. I feel like people who have big dreams, you're in one of 2 camps. You're either in the tell no one or tell everyone camp. And there is fine if you have a big dream that you tell no one and you just do it, right? But I am in the tell everyone camp, because the more that I say it out loud, the more real it becomes to me, number one. And number two, when I had made the decision to quit my job at Google to travel around the world, I started telling everybody except my boss at the time. And then when I got cold feet and I got really scared and I was like, what are you doing? Are you insane? Quit your job at Google, Kate, where you have this 6-figure job to like just go travel the world for a year. And I almost didn't do it. The main thing that saved me and why I actually went through with it was pride, because I had told all these people and I didn't want to untell all those people with my tail between my legs and make up some bullshit excuse about why I didn't do it. So I'm very much in the tell everyone camp. So now you all know my dreams. You can help me manifest them. Don't put shade on them, but I mean, do, like I feel like anybody thinking about my dreams, Even if they're like, she'll never do that. She's never going to have a publishing company. She's never going to have her art, soul, nature ranch. She's never going to be on Oprah's podcast. She's never going to be on the red carpet. Great. Think that. Because the more people that are just thinking of it, period, that's where manifestation happens. But if you believe that I can do these things, I love you even more. So, all right, that is my episode for today. I hope you enjoyed this life update. And please tell me what your big dreams are. I'm dying to know. Let's make that shit real, y'all.